Chapter number 7. Tribal Communities and Their Development. Very important political, social and economic developments took place over the centuries. But social changes were not the same everywhere, because different kinds of societies evolved differently. There were two types of societies in India during the medieval period: the caste-based society and the tribal society. The caste-based society was one in which the people were divided according to their birth. There was a huge gap between the high and low caste groups. The tribal society did not have these divisions. They did not follow caste rules that were laid down by the Brahmanas. Equality was their unique feature. Who were tribal people? Tribals were found in almost every region of the subcontinent, but not much is known about them. This is because there are a few sources that could give relevant information to the historians. The reasons behind this is that a very few tribes kept written records, but the tribals preserved their traditions, customs, and oral traditions. Tribals' histories are being written using this information. Each tribe had its own customs, traditions, and lifestyle. Some were small tribes, others were large and powerful. The tribals generally resided in areas that were remote and also considered difficult terrains. Hence, they remained isolated and cut off from the outside world. Due to this, they were able to preserve their traditions and culture. Tribal societies. The tribal societies consisted of members united by kinship bonds. Different tribes followed different types of occupations. Some obtained their livelihood from agriculture. Some were nomads and moved from place to place, and others were hunter-gatherers or herders. Some tribes earned a living by performing acrobatic stunts and entertaining people, and few others were craftsmen who sold their craft work to earn their livelihood. Land and pastures were owned jointly by a tribe, and this was divided according to their own rules among the families. The tribals often chose to live in areas like high mountains, forests, and deserts. Though the tribes retained their independence and preserved their culture and traditions, they often clashed with caste-based societies. The tribal population in India. The tribal population in India is scattered all over the country. Traditionally, most of the tribes in India have led a nomadic life with no permanent homes. The only aspect that is permanent in nature is their constant migration from place to place. Some of the tribes in India were Baluchis in the northwest, the Khokhars and the Ghakkars in Punjab, the Bhils and the Kolis of the western part, Gonds in central India, and Khasis, the Nagas and the Ahoms in the east, and the Marawars and Badagas and the Todas towards the south. The medieval period was challenging for the life of the tribals. The migrations of other people, including Europeans, into the tribal regions was the major challenge. Another reason was that due to the rapid expansion of the agriculture and cutting of dense forests, the tribal areas had diminished. Forests were the original homes of most of the tribes. Thus, in many places, the tribals had been uprooted from their original villages and forced into exposure to new cultures. This exposure led to some more changes in their lives and culture. In some places, these tribals adopted certain aspects of these cultures to lead a settled life by adopting modern methods of agriculture and hunting. In some cases, a tribe evolved into a full-fledged state or kingdom. Wonderful to know, the term tribe is derived from the Latin word tribus, meaning the name of the tripartite ethnic divisions of the original Roman state: Tites, Remens, and Luceris. The Gonds. The Gonds were one of the largest, most powerful, and popular tribal communities in central India. The name Gond comes from the Telugu word Konda, which means a hill. Today, groups of Gonds are found in central India that include parts of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, eastern Maharashtra, northern Andhra Pradesh and western Odisha. Historically, the land of the Gonds is Gondwana or the Garh Katanga in central India. There are several subgroups among the Gonds. The Gond state. The various parts of the Gond region were ruled by the Rajput dynasties. They ruled from 6th to 12th centuries. With the passage of time, several groups among the Gonds formed themselves into kingdom or chiefdom, and by the 15th century they were firmly established within the present-day states of Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. The important Gond kingdoms had their capitals at Mandla, Kherla, Devgarh and Chanda. Interestingly, all of the Gond capitals were located close to a hill or river. The Gonds had a centralized administrative system. The kingdom was divided into Garhs. Each Garh was under a particular Gond clan. This was further divided into units of 84 villages called Chaurasis. The Chaurasi was further subdivided into Barhots. Each Barhot was made up of 12 villages each. The most powerful and famous Gond ruler was Rani Durgavati of Garh Katanga. She was a capable queen and started ruling on behalf of her minor son. Under the rule of Rani Durgavati, the kingdom flourished and became more extensive. Akbar the Great gave her a peaceful offer of accepting the suzerainty of the Mughals and agreeing to become the vassal, but she refused. In 1565, the Mughal force under Asaf Khan attacked Garh Katanga. A strong resistance was put up by Rani Durgavati, but she was defeated. She along with her son sacrificed their lives on the battlefield like true warriors. Asaf Khan invaded the Chaudagarh fort of Rani Durgavati, but was shocked to see that the women had jumped into the fire. Asaf Khan collected a lot of booty and carried the gold, silver jewels, idols and even war elephants to mark his victory over the Gonds. The Gonds were weakened and the Marathas completed the task of Asaf Khan when around the 18th century they crushed their power and royalty. Wonderful to know. The Gond chiefs wanted to be recognized as Rajputs. Thus, the Gond chief Aman Das took the title of Sangram Shah. His son Dalpat married the daughter of Salbahar, the Chandel Rajput Raja of Mahoba. She was Rani Durgavati. Gonds in the present times. Gond tribes live in small villages even today. The main occupation of Gonds is agriculture, but some also practice cattle rearing. Their chief crops are millet, maize and pulses, which are also called monsoon crops. In winter, they grow wheat, cotton and oil seeds. The farmers use traditional methods of agriculture. They plough the fields which are drawn by the oxen. In fact, some of the Gond subgroups such as the Hilmaria still practice slash and burn cultivation, that is jhum cultivation. Some Gond subgroups practice carpentry and blacksmithy. In particular, the blacksmith, that is Lohar, occupies a prominent position in the village economy because iron is one of the main metals used by the Gonds. The Gonds are rigid when it comes to their tribe and their customs and traditions. They do not permit other tribes to live in the locality which they are occupying. The Ahoms. The Ahoms are a part of the Shan tribe. They belong to Assam, which is presently a northeastern state. According to some historians, the name Assam is derived from Ahom. Ahoms have subgroups that differ from each other in form and spirit. In the 13th century, the Ahoms migrated to Brahmaputra Valley, that is Assam, from present-day Myanmar. They were tough warriors and created a new state by suppressing the older political system of the landlords. By 1660, they could even make high-quality gunpowder and cannons. The Ahoms had to fight the Mughals. The brave Ahoms put up a tough resistance but were defeated. Aurangzeb annexed the Ahom capital Garhgaon but could not retain it for long. The Ahoms ruled as vassals of the Mughals. Ahoms were tough and hard-working. Almost all adult males fought as soldiers during wartime, and during peace times they were engaged in building dams, irrigation systems and other public works. The Ahoms also introduced various new methods of rice cultivation. Ahom society. The Ahom worshipped their own tribal gods. But the influence of Brahmanas increased during the first half of the 17th century. The Brahmanas were a privileged community. Land grants were given by the king to the temples as well as to the Brahmanas. But the Ahom kings did not completely give up their traditional beliefs after adopting Hinduism. Ahom society was very sophisticated. Poets and scholars were given land grants. Theatre was encouraged. Important works of Sanskrit were translated into the local language. Historical works known as Buranjis were also written. They were written initially in the Ahom language and then in Assamese. Rudra Singh was the most powerful Ahom ruler from 1696 to 1714. Assam became a part of British India in the 19th century. Case study: the Ahom Kingdom. The Ahom Kingdom reached its peak during the reign of Rudra Singh. Buranjis or the Ahom Chronicles were encouraged by him. He was skilled in warfare and established trade relations with Tibet. The kingdom of Ahom prospered and he built the grand city of Rangpur. Till the middle of the 18th century, Garhgaon was the capital, which was later shifted to Rangpur. King Pramatta Singh from 1744 to 54 built an amphitheatre called Rangaghar, from where the royal family would watch elephant fights and other sports. It was the first amphitheatre in the region and was a two-storied oval-shaped pavilion. The Ahoms were unaware of cement and used a paste of eggs and rice. It is interesting to note that those buildings have stood to test of time. Caste structures and changes during this period. Considerable social changes took place in the subcontinent during the period we have been examining. A change is brought about when people from different communities or groups interact. They influence each other in more ways than one. Word-based society and the tribals constantly interacted with each other. As time passed, many of them merged with caste-based society. Others, however, rejected both the caste system and orthodox Hinduism. Some tribes established powerful and extensive states with organized systems of administration. The Bhakti saints, who brought about what is known in history as the Bhakti movement, successfully attracted and improved the status of the lower castes. They denounced caste system that discriminated between humans on the basis of high or low caste. They supported devotion to God. Parallel to the Bhakti saints, the Sufi movement gained momentum in other parts of the world during that time. Mongols are a popular pastoral and hunter-gatherer tribe. They were originally forest dwellers. They inhabited the grasslands, that is steppes of Central Asia, and the forested area further north. They mastered herding, horse riding and led a tough nomadic life. By 1206, Mongols and Turkish tribes came together under Genghis Khan. They were united and trained as a powerful and fierce military force. At the time of his death in 1227, Genghis Khan was the ruler of extensive territories. His successors also created a vast empire and successfully occupied parts of Russia, Eastern Europe, China and much of West Asia. The Mongols were known as the yellow-skinned people. Their military administration knew no parallel. Mongol conquests have been described as barbaric assaults or attacks on civilized cultures.